the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival in Las Vegas took the lives of 60 people. The gunman was shooting from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel.
Run! This way!
Mandalay Bay Drive.
We determined there was a shooter on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay. Now our suspect was identified as Stephen Craig Paddock, 64 years old.
It begins with a promise, not something written down, not something anyone says out loud, but something you feel the moment you step into it. Warm desert air drifting slowly through the glowing skyline of Las Vegas, carrying the distant hum of engines, laughter spilling out of open doors, music echoing between glass towers. Neon lights stretch endlessly into the distance, reflecting off polished surfaces, flickering across faces that are here for one reason only: to feel something, to forget something, to be somewhere else, even if just for a night. And on this night, everything feels exactly right. The Strip is alive in a way that almost feels unreal. Cars glide past in slow streams. Limousines, taxis, ride shares, all blending into a constant flow of motion. Music leaks from rooftop bars, from casino floors, from speakers hidden in corners. The air itself feels layered, sound on top of sound, energy on top of energy. Nothing stops here, nothing slows down. And just beyond the glow of the main boulevard, at the southern edge, something even bigger is unfolding. The Route 91 Harvest Festival, an open-air country music event that has transformed a massive space into something that feels like its own world. More than 20,000 people packed together, shoulder to shoulder, boots pressing into dry desert ground, dust rising faintly with every step. There's laughter, there's singing. There's that shared energy that only exists when thousands of people are experiencing the same moment at the same time. On stage, Jason Aldean stands beneath blinding lights, guitar slung low, his voice carrying across the crowd, steady and familiar. Every lyric echoes back to him. Every beat is matched by movement. People throw their arms around each other. Some raise their drinks. Others hold their phones high, capturing pieces of a night they already know they won't want to forget. Because nights like this feel different. They feel important, even if you don't know why yet. Behind the festival, the skyline glows. The massive structure of Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino rises above everything else, its windows reflecting the lights below, its presence so constant that no one really looks at it anymore. It's just part of the background, part of the setting, part of the illusion. But inside that building, something else exists, something separate from the music, the lights, the movement, something quiet, something controlled. Days earlier, a man had arrived, Stephen Paddock. There was nothing remarkable about the way he checked in. No urgency, no tension, no visible emotion. Just another guest walking through a lobby that sees thousands every day. He booked a corner suite on the 32nd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows. A wide, unobstructed view of everything below. From that height, the festival grounds were perfectly visible. The stage, the crowd, the movement, all of it. On the casino floor, he became invisible. Not because he was hiding, but because he didn't stand out. He spent hours sitting at video poker machines, alone, focused, calm. The screen flickering in front of him, numbers shifting, cards appearing and disappearing in an endless cycle. Win, lose, repeat. His expression barely changed. There was no excitement, no frustration, just a steady, controlled presence. Staff noticed him, but only in passing. A quiet guest, a regular, someone who tipped well, spoke little, caused no problems. Nothing about him triggered concern. Nothing about him suggested what was coming. But behind the closed doors of his suite, the pattern was different. It started small, one suitcase, rolled through the lobby like any other, then another, then another. Bellhops helped carry them up, loading them onto carts, guiding them through service elevators. down long hallways lined with identical doors and soft lighting. He stayed close to the bags, watched them carefully, made sure they reached the room. Everything looked normal. Everything felt routine. Inside those suitcases, there were no clothes, no travel items, no signs of an ordinary stay. Instead, rifles, ammunition, equipment. Each trip added something new. Each return filled the room further. Not rushed, not chaotic, but slow, deliberate, controlled. Piece by piece, over several days, an arsenal was built right in the middle of a functioning hotel, surrounded by hundreds of other guests, staff, movement, noise, and no one noticed, because nothing, on the surface, looked wrong. Outside, the city continued exactly as it always does. Lights flashing, music playing, crowds moving. The festival building energy with every passing hour, each performance stacking on top of the last, creating a sense of momentum that carried everything forward. By Sunday night, everything had reached its peak. The largest crowd, the loudest reactions. The strongest feeling that this was exactly where you were supposed to be. Inside the suite, the final preparations began. Furniture was moved. Space was cleared. Doors were secured. A food service cart was placed in the hallway, positioned carefully, not casually. A small camera attached to it, angled toward the corridor, watching, waiting, providing a live view of anyone approaching. Inside the room, the windows were broken, glass shattered outward, opening a clear, unobstructed line of sight. From that height, the people below didn't look like individuals anymore. They looked like movement, like patterns, like a single, shifting mass. At 10:05 p.m., everything inside the suite stopped. No more movement, no more adjustments, no more preparation. Just stillness. Below, the festival continued. Jason Aldean was still on stage, the crowd still singing, still moving, still unaware. And then the silence above ended. The first burst of gunfire tears into the night. Fast, sharp, violent. But for a moment it doesn't fully register. Because it doesn't belong. People hesitate, look upward, search for something that makes sense. Fireworks, speakers, anything, but nothing matches. And then the second burst comes, longer, louder, closer. Now, something shifts. The music stumbles, the rhythm breaks, and people begin to understand. Someone falls, then another, then more. The realization spreads like a shockwave. This isn't part of the show. This isn't noise. This is gunfire. Panic ignites. Not slowly, not gradually. All at once. The crowd moves like a wave. One person runs and that motion spreads instantly, outward, in every direction. Thousands moving at once, pushing, colliding, separating, trying to find a way out of something they don't fully understand. Energy turns into urgency. Urgency turns into fear.
Run! 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 This way!
Some sprint toward exits, forcing their way through barriers, climbing fences, slipping, falling, getting back up again. Some drop to the ground, pressing themselves flat into the dirt, hoping stillness might protect them. Some freeze completely caught between disbelief and instinct, because the danger isn't in front of them. It's above them. From 32 floors up, the gunfire sweeps across the venue. Controlled bursts, short pauses, then more. Each volley lasting seconds, but reaching dozens at a time. There is no pattern, no safe direction, no warning, only sound and impact. In seconds, everything changes. The music is gone. The laughter disappears. The night becomes something else entirely. Voices rise, screams, shouts, names called out into chaos, people running without direction, without clarity, driven by pure instinct. And in the middle of it all, one realization takes hold. This is real. And it's only just beginning. The first seconds feel unreal, like the world hasn't fully caught up to what's happening. People are still trying to make sense of the sound, still searching for something familiar to attach it to. fireworks, speakers, a malfunction, anything but the truth. But the truth doesn't wait. Another burst tears through the night, longer this time, louder, relentless. And now people begin to fall in numbers that can't be ignored. Bodies drop where they stand. Movements stop mid-step. Voices cut off mid-sentence. And in that moment, confusion turns into certainty. This is gunfire. Panic doesn't build slowly, it detonates. One person runs, then 10, then hundreds, then thousands. The crowd collapses into motion, no longer organized, no longer contained. It becomes a force, a wave breaking in every direction at once. People push toward exits that suddenly feel too small. Fences bend under pressure, some climb, some fall, some get pulled back up by strangers who refuse to leave them behind. Above it all, inside the 32nd floor suite of Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, Stephen Paddock adjusts his position. He isn't rushing, he isn't reacting, he's controlling the pace. Burst, pause, shift, another burst. The gunfire sweeps across the festival grounds like a moving line, shifting angles, targeting the densest parts of the crowd, where movement is hardest, where escape is slowest. From the ground it feels random, from above it isn't. 17 seconds, another burst. 20 seconds, another. Each one lasting just long enough to hit, then stop. And in those pauses, something strange happens. Hope. People think, maybe it's over. Maybe it's stopped. Maybe they can move. And some do. They stand. They run. They grab others and pull them forward. Then the next burst hits, and that hope collapses again. On the ground, the chaos is total now.
You guys, everybody stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down.
Dust fills the air, kicked up by thousands of feet. The smell of gunpowder mixes with sweat, fear, confusion. Sound becomes overwhelming gunfire, screams, shouted directions, cries for help, all blending into something that feels almost impossible to process. People aren't thinking in full thoughts anymore. They're reacting, move, hide, help, run. And in the middle of it, something remarkable begins to take shape. Not panic, not fear, something stronger. Strangers become rescuers. Without hesitation, without instruction, a man drops to his knees beside someone bleeding heavily, pressing both hands down, trying to stop it. A woman rips off part of her clothing, using it as a bandage, her hands shaking but steady enough. Someone else pulls off a belt, tightening it around a stranger's leg, twisting it until the bleeding slows. Groups form instantly, 2 people lifting one, 3 carrying another, moving together through chaos, through noise, through danger. No names, no introductions, just action. Inside the hotel, the danger shifts. A security officer approaches the suite after receiving a report of something unusual. A blocked door, something out of place. He reaches the hallway, not knowing. Not yet. He tries the door. It doesn't open. Something is wrong. He pauses, reaching for his radio, and then gunfire erupts from inside the suite. Bullets rip through the wall. Drywall explodes outward. The corridor fills with debris. The impact hits him instantly, tearing into his leg, dropping him hard onto the carpet. Pain floods in. Sharp. Overwhelming. He tries to move, dragging himself backward, trying to get out of the line of fire, trying to stay conscious. The quiet hallway transforms into a battlefield in seconds. Back outside, the shooting continues. Another burst. Shorter, uneven, then silence again. That silence stretches longer this time. Too long, unnatural. On the ground, people hesitate. Some stay down, some risk moving. Some drag others with them, pulling injured bodies across open ground, toward fences, toward exits, toward anything that creates distance. Run, go. Don't stop. Voices cut through the chaos, guiding, warning, begging. Across the city, police radios ignite. Calls flood in from every direction. Shots fired, multiple victims, active shooter, no clear location. Officers respond immediately. Sirens cutting through traffic, lights flashing against buildings. They don't have a full picture. They don't know how many shooters there are. They don't know where exactly the shots are coming from. But they move anyway, toward the danger. At the festival perimeter, officers arrive first. They take cover behind walls, vehicles, barriers, trying to locate the source. And then they realize the shots aren't coming from the ground, they're coming from above. The angle changes everything. There's no direct line of engagement, no clear target. Just bullets raining down from a height that feels unreachable. Another burst hits, this time sweeping toward the outer edges toward where officers are gathering. Concrete chips, debris flies.
Mandalay Bay Drive, east of the boulevard.
Officers press themselves lower, pulling civilians back, trying to move people out of open sight. Stay down, get behind cover. Every second matters. Every movement is a risk. Back inside the hotel, the wounded security officer lies in the hallway, breathing hard, fighting to stay alert. Footsteps approach. Another hotel employee rounds the corner, responding to the earlier call. The officer shouts a warning. Just in time, another burst rips through the wall. Close, too close. Both men press against the wall, trapped in the narrow corridor, not knowing if the shooter can see them, not knowing if the next burst will hit them, not knowing if they're seconds away from dying. They wait, listening, counting the silence. Outside, the festival grounds are changing. Areas that were packed minutes ago are now nearly empty. Others are still crowded people trapped behind barriers, unsure where to go, afraid to move. Then, another burst. Short, uneven, different. Something is changing. The rhythm is breaking. The bursts become less consistent, less controlled, almost strained. And then one final volley, shorter than the rest, slower. And then, nothing. Silence. Real silence. At first, no one trusts it. People stay down, stay hidden, stay still, waiting for the next burst, waiting for confirmation that it's actually over. But it doesn't come. Inside Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, officers begin moving upward, floor by floor, clearing rooms, checking hallways, weapons ready, every door a potential threat, every corner a risk. They reach the 32nd floor, the hallway where the shots came from, the place where it all started. The wounded officer is found, alive, barely, another man with him. Both shaken, both aware of how close they came. Further down the hallway, something else stands out. A food cart, positioned strangely, a camera attached, watching, recording. A sign of planning, a sign that whoever was inside knew exactly what they were doing. Officers stacked near the door, weapons raised, breathing controlled, adrenaline high. They prepare to breach. Because whatever is behind that door ended everything below, and they're about to step inside. The hallway is quiet, but it's not the kind of quiet that feels safe.
I'll meet you guys halfway. I can't fucking breathe. You good?
It's heavy, pressed down by everything that just happened. Officers stand outside the suite door on the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, weapons raised, breathing controlled, listening for any sign of movement inside. Nothing. No footsteps. No voices, no gunfire. Only the low, constant whistle of wind moving through broken glass somewhere beyond the door. They know what's behind it, or at least they think they do. The source of everything. The origin of the chaos below. One officer glances at the others. A silent confirmation. No words needed. They breach. The door gives way. Weapons come up. Eyes scan fast corners, shadows, angles. Every movement precise, every step controlled. Waiting for gunfire that never comes. Inside stillness. The room is dim, lit only by the ambient glow spilling in from the shattered windows. Curtains torn, glass scattered across the floor, furniture pushed aside. The space feels wrong, not like a hotel room anymore, but something else entirely. Something constructed, something deliberate, and then they see it. Weapons, everywhere. Rifles laid out in rows. Some mounted, some equipped with scopes, others modified. Magazines stacked, ammunition piled in large quantities. Boxes opened, rounds ready. It's not random. No, 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 no. It's organized, carefully placed, prepared. This wasn't chaos. This was planning. And in the center of it all lies Stephen Paddock, motionless. A self-inflicted wound, the final act already done. There is no confrontation, no final exchange, no moment of capture, just silence. In approximately 11 minutes, more than 1,000 rounds were fired. 11 minutes. That's all it took. Outside, the city is still catching up. Sirens echo through the streets. Emergency vehicles flood the area. Lights flash against buildings that, only minutes ago, reflected nothing but celebration. The festival grounds are almost unrecognizable now. What had been a packed crowd is scattered. Abandoned belongings cover the ground. Shoes, phones, bags, drinks left behind mid-step. Signs of people who ran fast without looking back. The injured are everywhere, some lying still, some crying out, some being carried by others who refuse to leave them behind. Strangers continue helping strangers, lifting, dragging, holding pressure on wounds, doing whatever they can with whatever they have. Ambulances struggle to keep up. Hospitals begin filling beyond capacity. Doctors and nurses move without pause, treating injuries that come in waves, one after another, faster than anyone can fully process. And across Las Vegas, phones begin to ring. Families calling loved ones, friends sending messages. Are you okay? Where are you? Please answer. Some get responses. Short. Rushed. I'm safe. I made it out. I'm okay. Others get nothing, and that silence becomes something unbearable. As the night turns into morning, the scale of what happened begins to emerge. Numbers start to form. 58 lives lost that night, with more in the days that followed. Hundreds struck by gunfire. Hundreds more injured trying to escape. More than 800 people directly affected. But numbers don't tell the real story. They can't, because every number is a person, a life, a future that was supposed to continue. In hospitals, reunions happen. Tears, relief, exhaustion, moments where everything stops just long enough to hold on to someone who made it through. And in other places, there are no reunions, only questions, only confirmation of loss. Days later, vigils begin. Crowds gather in silence, candles held in shaking hands. Names read out loud, one after another, each one carrying weight, each one echoing into the night. People stand shoulder to shoulder, strangers again, but connected now by something different. Grief, understanding, memory. The city feels changed, not in the way the lights look, not in the way the buildings stand, but underneath. Something quieter, something heavier. Investigators begin their work almost immediately. Every movement retraced, every purchase examined, every moment leading up to the shooting.
There was a shooter on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay. He is dead. Now our suspect was identified as Stephen Craig Paddock.
Reconstructed in detail. They find preparation, they find planning, they find patience. What they don't find is a clear reason. No manifesto, no note, no explanation left behind. Just fragments. A man who lived quietly, who followed routines, who blended into the world around him without drawing attention. And yet behind that normal exterior, something else existed. Something hidden. Something that never revealed itself until it was too late. The question becomes unavoidable. Why? Why this place? Why this crowd? Why this moment? The answers never fully come. Theories emerge. Speculation spreads. Investigations continue, but none of it fills the silence completely, because sometimes there isn't an answer that makes sense. Sometimes there isn't a reason that feels enough, and that's what stays. Not just the memory of what happened, not just the images, the sounds, the fear, but the absence of understanding. A perfect night, a city built on light, on illusion, on escape. And in just 11 minutes, everything changed. Not just for the people who were there, not just for the families who lost someone, but for a city and for everyone who realizes, after hearing this story, how quickly everything can shift. From music to silence, and how that silence can last forever.